Oh my. Good morning. Welcome to Midweek Musings here at Trinity Heights United Methodist Church. I'm Kent Little, pastor. I think I have my phone camera a little goofed up. That's a little better. Now I'm not literally in your living room. I think I must have bumped the Zoom or something. Anyway, maybe I should speak up since I'm a little further away from the camera. Good to have you join me this morning, whether you're joining here live in this moment or whether you join this later, as it will be recorded onto our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Most importantly, welcome. Glad you're here on this. I think it's supposed to be a pretty nice day. It's, of course, a little chilly outside. It is January after all. But I think I saw that it's supposed to be up in the 50s again today. But then looking at the forecast into the weekend, I think we're going to plunge into the deep freeze, I think. Or at least that's what the weather people are saying. So we're going to stay warm this weekend. So anyway, kind of a normal Wednesday here. We haven't started WOW back up quite yet. That'll happen in February. We'll start my book study back up in February as well at the same time. Choir practice does meet this evening, and anyway, but a relatively quiet day so far. I've been working on worship planning and other items of activity and outreach here at the church. This coming Sunday, the worship theme has kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit for me for this coming Sunday on the 25th. My original thoughts around the sermon, it's Jesus beginning his ministry, calling the first couple of disciples, and the author of the story, of the narrative, talks about how they left what they were doing to follow him. And the author uses the word immediately a number of times. And so I'm kind of keying off to that, that for them that moment was pressing. It was something they needed to be doing now, that they needed to start now, that they needed to be involved now, in this moment, or in their moment. And I think there's something important about that in terms of our calling as followers of Christ, as the body of Christ in the world. There's as I reflected on that, I think in terms of who we are and what we do, working and participating with God toward the kingdom, toward that beloved community that we seek, that there is some sense of urgency about that. And as I reflected on that word came to me, some sense of urgency. It may have been lodged in there from a long time ago quote that I read from the readings that I reflect on regularly of the writings and speeches of Martin Luther King Jr. In his day, he talked about an urgency, a fierce urgency of now, that now's the time. Reflecting on that, I had originally titled my sermon first I had titled it Timing. There's something about timing, about our own timing, about God's timing. Then I changed my sermon title, and as I worked on what I thought I wanted to say, I changed the title to just Now, talking about this present moment, that this is what we have, this moment. And then as I continued to reflect, then the word urgency came to mind, and so I changed my sermon title to The Urgency of Now. And I think especially as I reflect and watch the news, read the news, with all that is going on in our world, all that's going on in our nation right now, I think there is an urgency of now that we need to speak up for justice and compassion. That we need to stand with the most vulnerable in our communities, in our states, in our nation. Right now, persons of color, immigrants are being targeted, whether they're citizens or not. Oftentimes, reading the news and reading eyewitnesses, oftentimes. It's they get abused and taken away, only to find out later that they are citizens, and it's so and there's racial profiling going on. Listened to an interview of a law enforcement officer that talked about some of his officers when they are off duty were pulled over just because they had darker skin than that white guy, which is wrong, and it just seems to be escalating around us, at least to me, and so I do think there is an urgency of now that the church, a church that's grounded in the words of Micah. What God requires of us is to do justice, to make justice happen, to love mercy, to take care of one another, and to be humble about that. In the Hebrew Bible, the Hebrew Scriptures, in Leviticus and in Jeremiah, as well as a number of places, talks about how we are to treat the foreigner, the alien in our land, as one of us, as a brother or sister, and we are to love them as we love ourselves. In Jesus' own teachings, he talks about when in Matthew's the title of the section is the judgment of the nations, and Jesus says a number of things. I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty, you gave me. I was a stranger and you visited me. And at the end of that, he said, and the king says, anytime you did this to one of the least of these, you did this to me. So Jesus speaks about taking care of the stranger. And so anyway, I believe there is an urgency of now in our nation and in our world about justice and about how we treat one another. It's past time to speak up and to do something. So anyway, so that's what I want to talk about a little bit Sunday and wrestle with that a bit. And in that same vein, and I should say, and part of this has been inspired by my readings again over this last weekend of Martin Luther King's writings, and so again, my worship theme and my sermon theme has kind of ebbed and flowed and evolved toward this urgency of now regarding justice in our world. And so anyway, and with that in mind, then next Sunday, February 1st, I've invited Jeannie Kuntz to be with us. She filled in for me, I think it was the Sunday after Easter. And she is part of the Central which I am too, and our church participates as well, the Central Kansas Justice Ministries. And so February 1st here at Trinity Heights is going to be Justice Sunday. The lectionary selection that Sunday is from Micah, where the prophet lifts up, what does the Lord require? And the prophet says, what the Lord requires, to make justice happen, to do justice, to love mercy, to be merciful, and to walk humbly with our God. And so that's the focus of our worship time together on February 1st. And then Jeannie's going to talk just a little bit about the Central Kansas Justice Ministries and ways we can be involved on several levels. And then she and I are going to have a kind of I don't know if you want to call it a dialogue sermon or around that, and then a time of questions and answers afterwards, and explore a little bit of how we might be involved in the Central Kansas Justice Ministries. As part of that, this next week before February 1st, I'm traveling to go to a Justice Ministries clergy conference to be trained, to learn, and I know I'll have that meeting will give me tools to help myself as well as lead our church in ways of justice and mercy. And so that's happening, and I'm working on putting together several things over the next many months of ways our congregation, in one way or another, can participate in justice ministries here locally. How can we be more welcoming? How can we stand with the most vulnerable? How can we give voice to those who may feel voiceless, who may feel afraid to be who they are? And so a number of things. One is one thing is not so much locally, but nationally. Our United Methodist denomination is putting together a day of peaceful resistance, February 25th, I believe it is, in Washington, D.C., a day of worship, a day of going to the Capitol and speaking with our congressional representatives with concerns around justice and compassion for immigrants and those who are being targeted right now. And so I am considering attending that. I want to open that up to our congregation or community, for that matter. Anybody who would be interested in traveling with me for that day of peaceful, compassionate resistance in concern for our immigrant communities in our nation. So that's February 25th. And then I want to work on, and I'm recruiting for some help to plan an event here at the church around how can we be present in our community for our immigrant community here in Newton. And I want to visit with some immigrants here to find out, what is it you need? How can we be of help? How can we stand with you and offer ministry and justice and mercies? So I want to plan an event here at the church around that of some kind. I've got a few ideas, but I'd like to get some more input. So if that sounds like something you would be interested in help putting together, please reach out to me. And I should have said that with the event in Washington D.C. If that sounds like something you can and would like to do, please reach out to me and connect so we can make that connection. And then sometime, I think in early April, I need to find out the details in terms of how that process works. I want to have a day of action here at the church, helping people register to vote, giving them rides and bringing them here and then taking them home, as well as writing letters to our representatives in Kansas and in Washington about how we take care of others, immigrants, people of color, etc., as well as maybe phone calls. So anyway, just trying to create ways that we can make our voice heard, ways we can do something in response to all that's going on in our world and country today, so we can help fulfill and participate in the ministry of grace and love and justice of Christ, and we believe of God that's so prevalent in our scripture tradition and in our faith. So anyway, so those are some things that are upcoming and going on. If some of those ideas that I mentioned sound of interest to you, please let me know. I can make it happen, but it's so much easier when a number of us help make things like this happen. So if you'd be interested in helping with any of those things or all of those things, please reach out to me and let me know, and we can get together and begin doing some planning. Anyway, thank you for being here. It's like I said, it is a pretty, I don't know if the wind's supposed to blow or not, but I think it is supposed to be a pretty decent day for the middle of January, or I guess close to the end of January now. But anyway, thank you for joining me. It's always good to see you, though I don't really see you, but it's always good to have you join me. Hope you have a great day. And as we say here at Trinity Heights United Methodist Church, be at peace and love one another, every single other, until there are no others, only one beloved community of all. May it be so. May it be so. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Goodbye, and God bless.